a CBS 47 special presentation celebrating the arts, culture, and community. This is our Hispanic heritage.
Welcome to our Hispanic Heritage Special. I'm Desiree Lopez. For the next 30 minutes, we will be highlighting the art, the culture, and the service within the Hispanic community in the Central Valley and across the country. We kick things off with the story of a farmer's bill man dedicating his time to bringing the history of the indigenous people of Mexico to life by creating pieces of art using a unique method.
La pirografía o el pirograbado, que es la técnica que uso.
Pyrography is a slow process. There are pieces that can take from 1 week to some that take more than 3 to 4 months.
Born in Michoacan, Mexico, Jose Juan Alvarez, also known by his artistic name Huichohuacari, meaning wet dog in his native language Purépecha, says his love for pre-Hispanic art started at a young age.
A la edad de 5 años hice.
At the age of 5, I did my first pencil drawing.
Alvarez has lived in the city of Farmersville for more than 30 years and has devoted 20 of those years to pyrography, the art of making images on wood by burning it. Self-taught, Alvarez has created more than 250 pieces of art showcasing the history and culture of many indigenous groups of Mexico in his own backyard.
Se nos enseña la cultura.
At school, they teach us about some cultures, such as the Mexicas and the Mayans, but in Mexico. There are more than 60 indigenous groups.
Although the pandemic has caused for his art exhibits to be postponed, Alvarez says he has found another way to educate his community about the indigenous cultures by writing a book.
Que si a través del arte podía comunicar.
I realized if I can communicate the indigenous culture through art, why not do it through writing?
Alvarez says he hopes his art will motivate others to learn about their culture, especially the younger generation.
I've participated at many schools, and the students get amazed by the pre-Hispanic art. And many tell me they want to do the same when they grow up, and that motivates me to keep on going.
Talking about art, for more than 30 years, Arte Americas has been considered a gem in the Central Valley that features many local artists, but the pandemic has caused the doors to close. Now the museum has found different ways to stay in business.
We've been closed since March 12th. That's a very long time.
It has been 6 months since Arte Americas Museum had to temporarily close because of the pandemic.
All of our usual methods of raising funds for the gallery were just pretty much non-existent. You know, we have no one coming in. We can't run our summer programs. We can't bring music.
Ruth Saludes, the executive director for Arte Americas, says once they realized the state couldn't tell them when they would get the green light to reopen, they decided to take the museum to social media.
We have music, we have cooking, we have all kinds of different things on the program. So this month, of course, we're celebrating Fiestas Patrias, so we're having more programming with regard to that. We even had the consul came and gave a special speech in honor of Fiestas Patrias.
Saludes says by offering a number of live virtual events, the community continues to be part of their organization. Although the museum has been awarded a number of grants, they remind the community that donations are appreciated during this time of uncertainty.
It's just like running a home, except on a larger scale. So yes, we do need help.
Regardless of what the future holds, Saludes says they continue to be optimistic about the museum's future.
The fact that we're still gathering artists, putting together programs, thinking about the future, shows everyone that we are hopeful.
For years, a local foundation has given small businesses the opportunity to flourish in the Central Valley. And although the pandemic has affected many local businesses, the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation continues to help those entrepreneurs in need.
We had a vision, we had a dream for small businesses.
Since 2004, the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation has been a one-stop shop for many small Central Valley business owners.
We've had continuously workshops, webinars, of course via Zoom, that people are able to access how to get all your documents in place. We help them with that. You know, businesses are right now in need how to access not just grants, but other resources.
Dora Westerland, the CEO of the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation, says she decided to kickstart this infrastructure when she realized the need for many underserved local business owners.
They are pop and mom businesses wanting to grow and to be successful. But the most important part that I see is that these families, this mom and dad, want to give better opportunities for their sons and daughters.
Although this year the pandemic has caused a major economic impact around the world, Westerland says they've created ways to continue assisting local entrepreneurs.
Since we went to shelter in place, there is a need for small businesses to access online platforms. So we have been so essential for small businesses to help them navigate the process.
Westerland says that regardless of the uncertainty that many face, the Fresno Area Hispanic Foundation is there to help at no cost.
There's a lot of small businesses struggling out there, and there is no light, that they can see at the end of the tunnel. So when you call someone, there might be an opportunity, there might be something else that you're not seeing, and that's what we're here for. We're here to let you know that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
He is well known in the Central Valley educational system, and soon Fresno State President Joseph I. Castro will be taking on a bigger role. We'll tell you more about it up next.
You're watching a CBS 47 special presentation celebrating our Hispanic heritage.
Welcome back. Joseph I. Castro has been leading the way for Fresno State faculty and students, and soon he will be guiding the largest public four-year university system as the first Mexican-American chancellor.
We're dedicated to helping them to succeed.
Since 2013, President Joseph I. Castro has changed the lives of many Fresno State University students.
I've spent my whole career working on different aspects of higher education, but the theme has been around higher education leadership and policy, and it's because of the transformational experience that I had as a college student.
Now the Hanford native has been appointed by the CSU Board of Trustees to be the first Mexican-American chancellor to lead California's public university system, a position Dr. Castro says he will not take for granted.
It's my hope that the experiences that I've had, as president here for 7 years, I have the knowledge of the CSU. The mission and values align with my own personal values.
Dr. Castro has been part of California's public higher education system for 3 decades and will lead a system where Latino students make up the largest ethnic group at 43%, followed by 22% white, 15% Asians, and 4% African American.
And we have 23 different campus cultures, and again, the benefit of that is that we can learn from each other, and that makes for this incredible quilt, CSU system quilt.
He is taking on the university system's highest position during a time of uncertainty because of the pandemic, but says he will work to ensure every student receives the help they need.
I believe that we're going to get stronger during COVID because we're learning, we're adjusting, and we all care deeply for our students.
It is expected for Dr. Castro to begin his new role on January 4th. A native from Bogota, Colombia, and Alabama teacher wants to make sure she shows her students how to celebrate diversity in the classroom. Nathaniel Rodriguez has the story.
Buenos días. Hola.
For Dothan teacher Andrea Doherty, being able to share her culture with students is a privilege. A native of Bogota, Colombia, Doherty uses her knowledge of Latino culture to teach students Spanish and, more recently, the importance of Hispanic Heritage Month. Right now, her students are learning about Hispanics who contributed to American society and different Latino cultural practices.
Pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade are working on these ponchos and sombreros and maracas, while my other students, second and third grade, are making piñatas. So they are learning the basics of making something from another culture.
She says these lessons allow children to learn not just Spanish, but different cultural customs as well.
In celebrating Las Posadas, for example, and they see people out there, a group of people knocking on doors and then just, singing or praying or doing all these activities, like an activity set. I'm wanting to be able to say, I know what this group of people are doing.
Doherty also said that being able to teach Spanish not only helps students who aren't familiar with Hispanic cultures, but also Latino students themselves.
When I started speaking their language, their native language, I can see a little sparkle in their eyes. because there's nothing better when you're able to understand somebody in your own language.
Being able to teach young children Spanish wasn't always possible at DCS, but after the system restructured itself, Doherty was able to teach students at both Highlands Elementary and the Early Education Center.
Some city schools are actually going beyond, and to make sure that our students are covered in every area, and I really like that.
But above all, Doherty teaches her students of all backgrounds to love where they come from and celebrate diversity.
Coming up, looking up to spice up your life, we travel to Colorado, where a Hispanic family have triumphed in the chili business.
You're watching a CBS 47 special presentation celebrating our Hispanic heritage.
It is considered the go-to place for many residents in Colorado Springs looking for that perfect chili. Greg Nato tells us more about this Hispanic-owned farm.
If you've ever debated the best chili to buy,
this is a big meeting place for people. Everyone is family here.
Isaiah Gallegos and Angel Chavez are here to save you some time.
We can talk and make connections all over Chile.
In the Austin Bluffs section of Colorado Springs, it's another busy day at the V-Hill Farms stand, where they say,
it's because of the heat and it's because of the flavor.
Roasting is really living. The two Hispanic millennials standing behind their product.
The boss made us earn our stripes for sure.
In many ways, they have sprouted up alongside of it.
They've made a pretty big name for themselves, especially here in the Springs. We have a pretty big thumbprint here on the edge of Austin Bluffs, mostly because of how much work the big guy has put in. Praxi Vigil, he's been running this farm.
My name is Praxi Vigil. We've been in the business for over 90-some years. I'm a third-generation farmer.
The big guy is Presidio, or Praxi Vigil. Praxi, a big guy.
Me and my dad. Yeah, the only Hispanic farmers here in Pueblo.
Behind a larger-than-life guy.
Kind of our pride and joy is farming.
His dad, Praxi Sr., who stops by after tending to his farm, one piece of land over.
Well, about 5, 6 different varieties.
7 different varieties.
7 different varieties.
Green chilies.
Both Vigils say the Vigil legacy began with their parents. Mom always in charge.
And she was a very special mom. His grandma, my mom, she was the one that instilled all of this to us,
Praxi Sr., one of 15 siblings who made a promise to their mother to not only graduate from high school, but make a difference in the world. For generations, father and son have made their case as to why Pueblo Vigil chili is head and shoulders above the popular Hatch chili from the 505 area code to the south.
I don't know if it's in the ground or what it is, but because we don't use any herbicides or nothing. We just, Mother Nature takes care of us.
Vigil chili takes care of the rest.
I'm kind of getting up in age now where the younger generations are taking over my boys.
Which brings Isaiah Gallegos and Angel Chavez back to the table.
I've had people come and switch from Hatch to green chili to our Pueblo chili all the time.
Who remain loyal to the chili that raised them. Taste buds never lie.
And everyone knows that when summer's gone, you smell chili, that's a Pueblo, Colorado thing.
From a college dorm room to a growing empire, Andrea Herrera speaks to a 25-year-old entrepreneur who has turned his dream into reality.
Born and raised in central Kansas, Eddie Sandoval did not see many people who looked like him.
I grew up in a small town, and I was the only Hispanic pretty much from kindergarten to where I graduated.
His family traveled back to Chihuahua, Mexico each year to visit loved ones, bringing a piece of his roots back to his hometown.
We'd always bring back pinole because you couldn't find it here.
Pinole, a nutrient-rich ground corn used in tortillas, baked goods, and drinks, was a family ingredient that he wanted to share.
So that's kind of how it inspired me to always wanting to share my family's heritage while being able to give back.
In his final year of college at Wichita State University, as he was struggling to find a job, he decided to create his own business from his own garage.
And I found an organic blue corn supplier in Chihuahua, Mexico, and that's where I was like, I think this would be a good idea.
A few days later, he was at the border loading up half a ton of corn into the back of his pickup truck.
My mom thought it was the craziest, almost dumbest idea. They couldn't believe, I was about to graduate with a finance degree. I came full ride scholarship to Wichita State. I'd interned at some big companies, and I was gonna give it all up just to be grinding corn the rest of my life.
But he kept trucking on for 2 years, driving store to store, trying to make sales. 4 years later, Pinole Blue's products made in Wichita are sold in 300 locations across 18 states and are shipped nationwide.
It was finally worth everything I did.
He says his heritage motivated him to work hard and give back by donating part of his proceeds to the Tarahumara community, showing his parents their hard work and dedication was not in vain.
To show other Latinos and Hispanics, especially having immigrant parents, where they want the best for you, that sometimes it's okay to take the risk.
Andrea Herrera reporting.
After the break, we'll tell you how a Texan woman ended up discovering a hidden history.
You're watching a CBS 47 special presentation celebrating our Hispanic heritage.
In an effort to uncover her family tree, one Central Texas woman discovered they were actually a part of Hays County history. Tahira Rahman has more.
This is all part of Gina Rogers' family history.
This is one of his sons, Felipe.
That she didn't know about until a few years ago.
And when my dad passed away, I asked the question, where was Daddy born?
One question that would guide her next 5 years.
It was not much long after that tons of documents and records surfaced. This is the first deed.
Her great-great-grandfather, Victoriano Alba, bought 160 acres in Dripping Springs in 1903, becoming one of the first Hispanic families in the area.
They were some of the first persons who helped to create the St. Martin's de Porres Catholic Church in Dripping Springs. They had donated land for a school.
John McKiernan Gonzalez has been studying Southwest history for 25 years. He says more interesting than the Alba family's early roots is their persistence.
Really interesting interplay between a family story and a place's story.
Gonzalez says some Texas towns didn't want Black or Hispanic families as neighbors. Many of them were driven out by increasing property taxes. Sometimes, he says, these families of color were even driven out by terror.
Records that say that sort of like sheriff offices and real estate investors said it's cheaper to buy from the widow than from the man. So the connection between terror and land dispossession.
Still, the Alba Ranch remained in the family for more than a century. At one point, the Albas owned about 1,000 acres. It's all become more than family history. In January, the Texas Historical Commission approved the Alba Ranch as an undertold story. That means it fills a gap in state history.
A lot of Tejano families are tired of not seeing themselves in the story of Texas. It's about time to sort of like get the kind of public memory and public recognition that the work the families put into being in Hays County.
They were not even a footnote in history. That's really the reality of it.
Now on the Hays County Historical Commission herself, Rogers is working on more marker applications to make sure other Hispanic people, families, and places don't vanish once they're gone.
We discovered him, and he won't be lost again.
She's a civil rights icon, and regardless of her age, Dolores Huerta continues to fight for the right of many workers. Up next, we'll tell you more about it.
You're watching a CBS 47 special presentation celebrating our Hispanic heritage.
She's 90 years old and shows no signs of slowing down. Labor icon and civil rights activist Dolores Huerta is as active as ever. Jose Gaspar has the story.
This was the rallying cry by labor activist Dolores Huerta when organizing farm workers as they struck for better working conditions in the 60s and 70s. What motivates you now?
Well, there is so much work that still needs to be done. We have so many people to reach and empower them so that they can understand that they, within themselves, that they have the power to change things.
She's inspired to see young people getting involved in issues to improve their communities through peaceful means.
My philosophy has always been one of nonviolence, and I do believe that we can make changes without using any kind of violence.
Her efforts have not gone unnoticed. She received the Presidential Medal of Freedom Award in 2012, and this year was named as one of the 100 Women of the Year by Time magazine.
We are so dependent on each other that this is not a time to promote any kind of racial hatred, you know, and even against police, you know. I used to be a deputy sheriff, Jose. I don't think you knew that.
That was in the 1950s when she worked for 2 years, she said, for the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office.
My job was to do the lineup. You know, as people came through the lineup, I had to take all of their information down. And it was very painful to see some of my friends going through the lineup.
Despite today's deep political divide, Dolores Huerta remains an optimist.
So we kind of have to go back to basics, right? You know, like they love your neighbor as you do yourself.
Remember to be proud of your roots and keep your culture alive. I'm Desiree Lopez. Thank you for joining us.